Good morning again. And on behalf of President Tanja Williams and Campus Provost Mark Strickland, welcome to St. Petersburg College's Seminole campus. This campus is one of 10 in the SPC system, a system that is one of the oldest state college systems in Florida. And of course, I'd also like to now officially welcome you to the Institute for Strategic Policy Solutions Sea Level Rise Up Conference. Welcome. I'm Erica Moulton. I'm the director of SPC's newest campus, the Bay Pines STEM Center. We are located just a few minutes from here on Bay Pines Boulevard, and our campus is committed to turning out the next generation of scientists, researchers, and biologists who will help you to figure out climate change, how we can be resilient to its impact and still preserve our natural environment. I'd like to start this morning's opening with a little bit of background about SPC, and then I'm going to wrap it up with some connections to why you're all here today. Currently, SPC is the higher education choice of the majority of Pinellas County's high school graduates, a statement that few of our local partner colleges can make. But we believe in our students, and we are committed to helping every single one of them succeed in achieving their higher education goals, whether they stay with us or move on to one of those other institutions. To that end, SPC has 3 visionary commitments. The first is academic excellence. We are committed to providing a high-quality education for our students by creating an innovative and engaging learning environment with a supportive collegiate culture. The second of those commitments is economic mobility. We pledge to provide opportunities for our students to be prepared for high-wage, high-need careers and professional growth, which will contribute to their economic success and improve the quality of life within our community, as well as assist in ending generational cycles of poverty. We are succeeding, and we are now rated #1 in Florida for our alumni earning the highest entry wages. And our third visionary commitment is community engagement. We have pledged to invest in the well-being and growth of our community by serving as a leader, convener, and a catalyst for positive change, and that's why you are all here today. How crucial for the well-being of our community is the need to address challenges like climate change. It is truly an existential threat to a larger part of this community, as we are surrounded by water on 3 sides. The Institute for Strategic Policy Solutions, the presenter of this conference, was created 9 years ago to serve as that leader at SPC, a convener and the catalyst for positive change. And it is doing very well in staging this conference and inviting you all here today. So again, welcome to SPC. I hope you enjoy a productive and forward-thinking conference. Please feel free to stop by the STEM Center on your way out to Madeira Beach and Archibald Park. I'd love to see you all there. We're located right next to Madeira Beach Middle School. So now to get the program underway, it's my pleasure to introduce you to the Reverend Dr. Russell Meyer, co-chair of your Suncoast Sea Level Rise Collaborative.
Good morning. Thank you, Ms. Moulton. And let me add my welcome. You know, in the tradition I come from, we sort of start with, this is the day that has been made by whatever your faith tradition or whether or not you have one, today is a gift. And I hope that you can find a way to fully enjoy the gift that we are going to engage in today and tomorrow. I want to begin with a few conversational remarks about the kind of gift that we are experiencing today. We are experiencing the future today. The future is not something far out. The future is distributed across the present, and I would even say across the past. It's not equally distributed. Some people participate in it more readily than others. And so the gift that we have today is really a gift of time, not just the time of spending here today, but really a sense of the time of what it means to be human on earth. And we will be experiencing throughout these 2 days those various levels and time frames that shape our lives and the lives of all that is on earth in our biosphere. One of the things that I've learned by participating in the future as well as in the present, and I am a person who believes in trying to be fully present when present, is a shift in consciousness. Mystics have always talked about the necessity of being able to shift our consciousness in order to be a fully integrated human being who's in touch with everything within inside us and everything outside of us. That shift of consciousness really came home to me the other day when I was enjoying a piece of grilled yellowfin tuna. And then I'm watching on my favorite little device. You ever do that? Eat and Google at the same time? And learn that all tuna has microplastics in it. Then I looked on the back of my toothpaste and discovered that instead of silica that's cleaning my teeth, it's microbeads. And my wife tells me that her facial cleanser is filled with microbeads too. And those microbeads now are incarnated in all fish species in the Great Lakes. So whether you're eating saltwater or freshwater fish, you're eating the plastic we've thrown away. It's a complete system. We used to think that we could alienate ourselves, we could carve out and be isolated and externalize the things that make our life well. But we now know physically what the mystics have known spiritually for millennia. It's a complete system. And we have to think about what happens at every stage along the way. That we can no longer throw it away and think it's away. It comes right back into our bodies and the food we eat. We've learned that we're no longer a single organism. That the microbes in the dirt that we told our children they shouldn't eat are actually what's driving our gut to process the food we eat. And some of us don't have enough microbes in our belly. And so we fight diets to try and get rid of the belly. Right? Maybe we have multiple personalities, but we are a multiple organism, right? We're so completely a part of everything else on the earth. So completely a part of it. That's a shift in consciousness. And so we're going to be talking about the implications of what it means to shift our consciousness and begin to understand that our future is about living in relationship with everything, not unlike what indigenous people tell us life was like before we discovered black gold. If you remember the old TV series. So today I invite you to enjoy the time together. Not just here in this room, the time that was, the time that is coming, the time present, and ask the question of ourselves and one another, what are we going to do? What's our next move? That was the theme of our 2015 conference that started all of this out. Sea level rise, what's our next move? That conference focused on linking scientifically credible information to the formulation and implementation of sound, effective public and private sector policies. A small group of volunteers worked with the staff of the Institute for Strategic Policy Solutions at SPJC. I keep thinking, is there some kind of shorthand we could say? And the Institute on Science for Global Policy of Tucson to stage that conference. And a small cohort of that working group continued to meet to keep the conversation going. We felt it was too important to just leave it at a one-time event. Something was calling us to keep moving on. For climate change certainly isn't a one-off event. We've continued to meet with the Institute staff and eventually came up with the name for our group. And, you know, we're pretty 21st century. We keep thinking of renaming ourselves. the Suncoast Sea Level Rise Collaborative. And somehow, I got to be one of the co-chairs. It's what happens when you keep showing up. I'm telling you, warning you. But I also shared that honor with former Mayor Bob Minning of Treasure Island, and we sat together at that conference. Where are you, Bob? And Kelly Hammer-Levy of the Pinellas County Environmental Management. I don't think Kelly was able to be in the room this morning. And retired attorney and civic advocate extraordinaire, Richard Jacobs. In addition to these three co-chairs, I'd also like to recognize the other members of the planning team. Maya Burke. Maya, are you here? Hey. Of the Tampa Bay Estuary Program, whom you'll hear from on Saturday. Libby Carnahan, the Florida Sea Grant UF IFAS Extension, who will moderate a panel this afternoon. Sharon Joy Kleitch, the Connection Partners. Jean Karen, in the back, formerly an AutoCAD instructor for St. Petersburg College. The collaborative and the conference planning team is facilitated by Jacqueline Schuett. Stand up, Jacqueline. Please, you cannot show her enough love. I can only begin to tell you the extraordinary hours she put in. I started getting emails at 4 a.m. this morning. Who was the project coordinator of the Policy Institute here at SPC. She has been the engineer who kept the trains running, the organizer and fixer, the implementer, the facilitator, and the questioner. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Over many, many months of planning. I can't say enough for what Jacqueline is doing. She believes in this work as well as takes it with all seriousness. Thank you, Jacqueline. You deserve all of our love and praise. You really do. So what has the collaborative been doing these last 4 years? I got exhausted looking at the list they gave me. We had a forum on threatened freshwater resources, a documentary on plastic poisoning of the oceans, a forum on health and safety impacts of climate change, a documentary on melting polar ice caps, a documentary on dying coral reefs, and now this, offering a second conference to reassess where we are 3.5 years later, what local governments are doing about it, how business can stay healthy as it happens, and what citizens like you can do to advocate for sound policy in advocating for climate action. In planning this conference, we have set 5 main objectives. To help you become aware of just where we stand on the climate change spectrum. What is the threat? How worse might it get, according to projections? That's the National Climate Assessment, which is our first topic this morning. Secondly, to assess where local governments are in addressing the threats and opportunities, what they have done, and what they plan to do. Third, how business can adapt to the impacts of the changing climate, take climate action, and prosper. How those impacts, especially rising seas, are likely to affect property values, insurance affordability, and mortgage availability. And finally, how you as a concerned citizen can make a difference, can take action, can engage your elected officials, talk to your family, friends, neighbors, and strangers about what's happening around us. Around us, you'll see some posters. And when your mind wanders, let it fall on them. Be interested, be surprised, be inspired. That's it. It's a lot in a day and a half, but we've got some great speakers and presenters lined up, and we are counting on them getting us to where we want to be by the end of tomorrow. So with that, let's get to the opening presentation.